Here I am doing the first ride of 2025 in the mid-Hudson of New York in Poughkeepsie. This is the first, not the first ride, but the first ride that I am actually recording. The recording is done via a GoPro. If I haven't done so, I'm going to add a link below if you want to check out the GoPros now. The one I have is really old. I think it's a 7 or an 8. So this is from 2019 or 18. And I'm still very impressed by the quality of the footage that I get with natural light. Indoors, artificial light, that's a problem. But when you're outside, the metering is excellent. The sensitivity of the microphone is just amazingly good. And the image stabilization, I mean, this is a Zooter, it vibrates, especially when you hit a bump. And yet, when you look at the footage, it's just really steady. This is downtown Poughkeepsie. What you have seen so far on the right side is the City Hall and the police headquarters. It's incredibly ugly. What looks good is this post office on the left now in the center of the picture, and there is that gray cluster of buildings on the right side, which looks like it's something ancient. I'm not sure if it is, but it is a corporate place. There are all kinds of companies inside. It's not the City Hall building, even though it probably should be. Indeed, every bigger building should be built in this style. And if I ran the show, then there would be a panel of architects and artists and designers that would reject all ugly projects submitted. But in any case, I have said this many times, I believe everybody should own a scooter, a kick scooter. Either, for most people, the Zooter, which is the one I'm riding, or the GoPad. And I'm giving you links below. It's in my shop to both. You can buy a GoPad, I believe, only from the website. But the Zooter is so popular, you can buy it off of Amazon. And if I can make one recommendation, that would be that you get the one with the magnesium deck. Magnesium is a very light and very rugged metal, unlike aluminum, which is also light, but it is soft, it's easily bendable, and that's why when you look at a Birdie frame, for example, it has a larger diameter because aluminum is a soft metal. So the way they make it sturdy is by making the tubes bigger and thicker. And here you see how the Zooter glides on a downhill. Unfortunately, there is a rough patch here, so I had to get off. That's really scary to get on at speed with something as light and as tiny as a Zooter. I think the wheels are only 8 inches, maybe not even that. I'm not sure if it's a 6 or 8 inch diameter. But in any case, I'm riding a 20-year-old Zooter. This machine was purchased as a gift for me in 2005, in January of 2005. And I've used it almost daily ever since. The amount of usage I have put into this ride is just off the charts. I would say I have never used either my Birdie or even my Brompton as much as this thing, because this is good for everything. I have traveled with it. I put it in the car. It's absolutely no effort to put it on the train, in the bus, anywhere really. And I often don't even fold it because it's so light, it's so compact. Even a titanium Brompton weighs nearly twice as much as this. So you can imagine how much easier it is to get around on a Zooter. Not that you don't need the bike, you do need a bike for longer rides and exercise and stuff. The exercise you get with this is more of an aerobic kind, so it's gonna it generates a lot of body heat. So if you don't overeat, if you go into a caloric deficit, then this is something way more fun than jogging around or doing aerobics. And it gives you that kind of an exercise to burn the fat. Now here I am on a fun part. This is a greenway that was built recently for the SUNY University, that is one of the colleges in town. It's not a very competitive university. I mean, I have heard the expression SUNY CUNY baloney. Maybe true for many departments, but the state is pumping a good deal of money into this institution, and the way it's laid out, the campus, the buildings, it's really very well maintained. I wish the rest of the town was maintained as well as this one. It's hard to be back after 7 months of traveling around the world, and I must say the US is not looking good. After Southeast Asia and parts of Central Europe, the US is really falling behind in every respect. Not to mention that we are still in winter, so it's not as much fun to get around. But once the spring comes, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more optimism and a lot more fun. But it is hard to be back. And the prices, my goodness. I checked out some of the prices also on this trip. I'm on the way to ShopRite, and I'm using the scooter to get there, and I am hanging 2 or 3 bags, the bags I'm showing you that I'm going to link below as well. I got these from Amazon. They are really nice, very light. You can roll them up into a tiny shape if you're not using them, so they are easy to transport. And I use them with the scooter all the time. They hang on the handlebar and they can carry quite a bit of weight. So I can shop for 2-3 days easily on the scooter. Unlike most people who are driving $40, $50, $70,000 SUVs and crossovers to pick up some groceries or to get around locally. This is a bit of a downhill that I really like. I'm not kicking the scooter, I'm just gliding downhill. And it's a very slight downhill, maybe 5%, a 5% slope. That's it. I enjoy every ride I take, and I ride this scooter almost every day because it requires practically no maintenance. I have the original 20-year-old wheel in the front. I never oiled, or I've never taken apart any of it. I replaced the rear wheel because I brake by stepping onto it, and that is gonna wear down the tire. I would say it's gonna wear it down in maybe 20 years. I replaced it at 10 years or so, 12 years, because I still had plenty of polyurethane on the wheel, but it was just getting not full size. So it was kind of a smaller wheel than the front. But other than that, I have not changed anything. I did a deck swap, and the reason I'm recommending the magnesium deck is because that is a deck you're not going to swap. I originally purchased or received as a gift the scooter with a racing deck, and I initially thought that that was something good because it's narrow and it's so easy to kick it, but the deck is so narrow that when you are gliding, when you're not kicking, it's really uncomfortable. It's very hard to put 2 feet onto the deck at the same time. That's not a problem with the wider decks, especially in the case of the magnesium deck. The magnesium deck is wide, but it is lower than the other decks because aluminum is soft and it has to have more support below the deck, whereas the magnesium version is very thin, so it's very low to the ground. This woman just doesn't even bother looking around. And this is another downhill. This is already at the place where the students live who attend SUNY, and this is all just gliding down. I am not kicking at all. And this is a slide downhill as well. For example, on my Brompton, I would not be able to proceed like this without pedaling. You have to pedal to some extent. But here, it's the rolling resistance of the Zuter is practically zero. It's almost like skating on ice. "20 years and no maintenance." And in case anybody is bothered by having to pay a few $100s to pick up a scooter, keep in mind, if I drove to this place, if I called an Uber, if I took the bus, it would cost a few dollars, definitely. So every trip that you take with the scooter, now I have to walk it up because this is an uphill. Sometimes I kick it a little bit, but usually I just walk it. So in any case, I would say the average scooter, if you use it regularly, is going to earn back the money you spent on it within a year. If not a year, if you don't use it that frequently, the money you save on the taxi, the Uber and Lyft and Bolt rides, or taxi, whatever you're calling, even compared to the bus and the subway, it's a very economically efficient way of getting around. Not to mention that this is way more fun. You don't have to maintain a car. You don't have to put up with other people on public transportation. So I much prefer it. This is a typical uphill. So uphills can be as slow as walking. This is the other thing. The whole scooter is so light. Once you get off, say you have to go uphill like I just did, it's very easy to walk with it. Even if your bags are packed to the full, it's very easy to walk it. Your speed is not going to be cut down because you have a scooter. I would not say that about a bicycle or a heavy electric scooter. And this is kind of a steeper downhill, and I'm actually hitting the brake. I was hitting the brake the whole time, and because the handlebar is so narrow, I just don't have the courage to let this thing speed up to 20 miles an hour. And my next and perhaps first significant mod to this machine will be a different T-bar. I have been postponing this modification for years, but it has to be done because I really would like to take this downhill, maybe not at 20 an hour, but at least at 15. And this greenway goes all the way to the shopping area, and then it suddenly stops. There are some historic buildings in the background, and there is some big construction project going on. So whether they renovate those buildings or tear them down, there will be some kind of a complex there, and I'm sure they are going to extend the greenway once the complex is finished. One stupid mistake they made, which might be corrected, is that there's no concrete to connect this thing to the ShopRite and the rest of them. That was really stupid. Maybe eventually they are going to build something in here. But on the other hand, undeveloped meadows are really useful for wildlife. Not now, but during the warm season, this area is full of flowers, full of insects. It's an excellent breeding ground, so I'm not looking for the city to cover everything in concrete like they have done here. Although this is being private property owned by the real estate company that owns these shopping areas, it's very well maintained, very smooth. You don't have to kick much. It's really a fun place to ride a scooter, especially something as stiff as this one. And when I arrive, I don't kick it inside. I used to do it, but I had some problems because of that. So they don't want me to kick it inside, but they have no problems with me bringing the scooter inside with the shopping bags. And so I put everything directly into the bag. If you come here with a car and you want to use a card, you have to put in some coin or use a card or an app or whatever. It's a hassle. It takes several minutes. Whereas with the scooter, you just go right in. That's it. They are kind of used to seeing me here. I did get some attention in the beginning, but at this point, they have accepted reality. Compared to the prices I paid either in Bangkok or Budapest or the Dalmatian coast, the prices are insane. Everything is 4 or 5 times as much as it was over there. It's really awful. So I wonder how long this is going to go on. Here is somebody else driving. They let him use that car. They don't let me ride. In any case, even if I can't ride indoors, I still have the convenience of my shopping bag sort of built in. The selection is good, but everything is just so overpriced. It's unfortunate I cannot ride around because this was another place where I really enjoyed riding. It's so smooth. Indoor areas, just like the underground areas around Grand Central in Manhattan, these are really fun. The organic eggs, which I used to buy last year for $9, are now 14 or 15. And it's time for a checkout. And that's it. No need to go to the parking lot, look for a car. I start riding at this point. And I'm taking a different route. This is across the parking lot, which is downhill and all. Lots of fun. This is all without kicking, just by gravity. This is still a part of the area where they have all these malls and stores. And here I prefer to take a sidewalk because there are so many cars. I have lived in this area for a little over a year now, and I've been completely okay without a car, just having the Brompton and the Zooter. I rented a car once, and when it came to moving my stuff out of storage into where I'm living now, I had to rent a van, and I rented like a larger truck, like a moving van, and that's it. If I didn't have to move, I would not have rented even the van. So in a year time, I only needed a car once, and I think the possibility of surviving entirely with rental cars is underestimated, especially now that people work from home so much of the time. This is a university building on the left as well. But you know, so far I have not felt the need to get a car and to put up with car maintenance and the whole cost of it. Interestingly, most people will have a car whether they need it or not, but if somebody suggests that they should get a scooter that costs $300, then oh my God, or a bicycle that costs $2,000 or $3,000, the maintenance of even the last of the least Toyota Corolla type of commuting car is going to be minimum $5,000 a year. For that kind of money, you could buy a top-end recumbent bike with a roll-off hub. Just saying. There is an electric charging area on the right that I'm not showing in this video. Not many cars there, but sometimes you see them charging. This is a Saturday, so probably not many people have the reason to be here. And this is about the end of the video. This is how much battery time I had. Amazingly enough, the GoPro was recording for a full hour, even a little bit longer, but I had to edit the video down. And this is a different route, not a greenway like on the way up here, but I do get some nice downhills here. Sidewalk, but also on the road. Okay, this is it. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, and check out the links below. If you don't have a kick scooter yet, I highly recommend it. I also recommend electric scooters for some people. I have a bicycle, but if you don't have a bicycle, then maybe an electric scooter is a better solution for you. Kind of all in one. The thing I like about the bicycle better is that it gives you the opportunity to truly exercise and to get some fresh air. Yes, you could go outside with a long-range electric scooter and maybe do 40 miles, but that's the other thing. You cannot sit down, or you could buy a scooter that has a seat on it, but it's still kind of boring. It's not like a bicycle.
I'll be back.